Hi everybody, welcome to today's video tutorial. We are going to do this strawberry mug rug applique, and you can see here's a QR code that links to the video. So once you finish watching this video, you've downloaded the pattern, you want to go back to the video, the QR code will take you right there. So it's really handy and easy. Okay, let's get started. Okay, I've cut the front and back pieces for the mug rug, and now I'm cutting the fusible fleece. Today I'm using double-sided fusible fleece, and I love it. It makes this project really easy. Okay, I'm going to quilt lines, and I'm just going to follow the lines that are already here on the fabric. If you want, you can use a ruler and a chalk marker to draw your own lines, or use the edge of your foot as a guide. Right now, I'm only going to press the top fabric onto the fusible fleece. I'll add the back later. I'm actually going to quilt the lines first. All right, I have a stitch length of 3, and I'm just going to quilt along the lines. I was taught to start quilting in the middle, so I'm going to stick with that, even though I'm using Fusible here and it's really forgiving. Okay, here are my quilted lines. This made it really easy because the lines were already there. But you could have used a ruler and a piece of chalk and drawn your own lines, or use your presser foot as a guide and space them using the edges of that presser foot. Okay, I am ready to applique, and I already have some fabric that has steam-a-seam on it. I use this for another project, and I have this left over. So I'm going to use this red. Let's see. Yeah. I'm going to use this red for the strawberry. I think that's going to look really cute. So normally if I was just going to use my steam-a-seam, I would take a piece of steam-a-seam and I would trace my shape onto the yellow grid side of the paper. But because my steam-a-seam is already attached to the fabric, I'm going to do it a little bit differently. I'm just peeling off the back paper, and I just have to make sure that gluey side is stuck to the fabric. Sometimes it wants to peel away, but it's easy to keep it there. So I just peel the fabric back that has the glue on it, and now I'm going to trace the strawberry right onto the paper there. Then I'll fold the fabric back onto the shape, and then I'll cut the shape out. Okay, and then sometimes steam-a-seam is hard to peel off, so I just score it with a pin, just my regular sewing pin, and then it's easy to peel the paper back and add it to the front section of my mug rug. Okay, so I have some green for the leaves and the stem, and this one doesn't have steam-a-seam on it, so I'm going to work in the way that I would normally work, and that is by taking my steam-a-seam, tracing my pattern pieces onto that steam-a-seam, and then adding it to the wrong side of my fabric. Okay, movie magic. Now rough cut around the shapes, and then I'll get ready to attach this steam-a-seam to the wrong side of my green fabric. Okay, and so here are my shapes, and I just need to peel the back paper piece off of the steam-a-seam. It's in 3 layers, and again, it's a little bit tricky sometimes to peel it off, but you just keep working at it. Make sure that the glue part stays with the yellow grid side, and then peel that paper off carefully, attach it to the wrong side of my fabric, and then I'll just press very lightly with a hot iron just so that the glue gets onto the fabric. Sometimes you can peel it off and the glue will already be there, but oftentimes it just needs a quick press with a hot iron. Okay, so I just did that off camera, and now you can see when I peel the paper back that the adhesive is on the wrong side of the fabric, and that's how we want it. It's a little bit tacky, so when I cut the shapes out, I still have the ability to place them onto my main fabric and then pick them up and move them however much I want until I finally use that hot iron to really hold them on there. Okay, so I have a few more pieces on there and I can still pick them up because I haven't ironed them down completely. And I'm just going to add a few things, and again I'm using this fabric that already has steam seam attached to it, and I'm just cutting out these tiny little purple parts and I'm going to use them right in the middle of my white flowers. And of course I could have just drawn circles and did that, but I thought I would just take advantage of this motif fabric and use it accordingly. Oh yeah, that's cute. I like how it looks. And then I have this bee here, and I think I'm going to cut one out. I'm going to really isolate it, and I thought that would be a nice touch on this piece as well, to have a little bee flying around the strawberry and the flowers. And I'll just cut very carefully around and then add it to my piece. So if you have fabric that has these cute little motifs already on them, you can isolate them and then cut around them. I'm actually going to cut the antenna off and put them back on with embroidery thread. Okay, and then peel the paper on, try the little bee in all different places, see what you like. All right, I'm happy with the placement of everything, and now I'll use my hot iron to really adhere this to the top of my fabric. Okay, so here I am at my machine again. I have my free motion quilting foot on, and I'm set up for free motion quilting. So the basics are, I need this special foot. I have my stitch length turned all the way down. Mine doesn't go totally to 0, but I have a free motion button quilt that I push and it drops the feed dogs. That's the main thing in free motion quilting. And I'm just going to, I have a black thread on. I'm not going to break my thread. I'm going to go around all the shapes. So I'm going to plan my traveling. I'm going to go out from there and over to the bee and around here, and I'm not going to stop moving my machine. So if you're new to free motion quilting, it can be a little bit intimidating, but I encourage you to practice. Make yourself a little quilt sandwich and draw some shapes on it and try to go around them with your free motion quilting, and you'll see you get better at it really quickly. And if you don't and you make a mistake and it looks a little wiggly or not how you wanted it to look, that's actually part of the charm of free motion quilting. So I want you to keep going with it. It's really fun and it actually looks good no matter how you do it. Okay, so I'm going quite fast here. I've sped the camera up quite a bit, but you can see that I'm just going around the shapes. I'm not overly worried about, you can see I just made that right across to the strawberry, that line there, and I'm cool with that because I'm actually going to go over it with my embroidery. And so far I'm liking the way it looks. I just went around all the shapes just to hold them down, even though they do have Fusible on them. Okay, so here are my shapes. I went around the strawberry a few times because I had a couple wobbly lines, and it still looks great. I like the way it looks. If you're worried about free motion quilting, just don't be. Jump in, give it a try. Okay, I finished my free motion quilting, and you can see that I've added some hand embroidery stitches to my mug rug. I have the fly stitch and the stem stitch with daisy petals, and there are links to all those stitch videos in the instructions. Okay, home stretch here. I'm going to place the back fabric on top of the applique, right sides together, sew around with a 1/4 inch seam allowance and leave that opening there at the bottom. Okay, so I'll just trim the corners. I've done the sewing around. Once I trim the corners, I'll turn it right side out. And then finally tuck the opening in on itself and edge stitch the perimeter. Okay, that's it. Here's the strawberry applique mug rug with some hand embroidery. We did quilting first, free motion quilting, a lot of new things, and it looks really great. So I hope you like this pattern as much as I do. Thanks for watching.